The world before the flood, a journey through the antediluvian era. Picture a time long before the Great Flood, a world that was both wondrous and terrifying. A time when humanity walked side by side with incredible beings. And the earth itself bore witness to events that would forever change its course. This was a time that existed in the shadowy corners of history. An era described in the Bible and preserved for millennia. Filled with profound mysteries and divine acts that defy our understanding. The world before the flood is not just an ancient story, it is a tale of creation, rebellion, judgment, and redemption. In this ancient age, secrets were hidden in the mists of time. And the fate of humankind was shaped by the divine hand of God. There were extraordinary beings that roamed the earth, some divine, some monstrous, and they left a mark on the world that would last forever. The Bible tells us about this era in vivid detail. From the creation of the first humans to the cosmic flood that wiped out almost all of humanity. It's a story that begins in the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve, the first human beings, were formed from the dust of the earth by the Creator himself. These two souls were placed in a paradise, a beautiful world untouched by sin. But paradise was lost when they were deceived by the serpent, the embodiment of evil. In an act of disobedience, they ate from the tree of knowledge, violating the one commandment God had given them. This fateful decision cast humanity into a new reality. One of struggle, sorrow, and death. As a result, Adam and Eve were cast out of Eden, marking the beginning of a long and painful journey for humanity. From the moment they were expelled from paradise, the world began its downward spiral. The first tragedy of humanity unfolded in their own family. The sons of Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, became embroiled in a bitter conflict over divine favor. Abel, the younger brother, offered a sacrifice that was pleasing to God, while Cain's offering was rejected. Consumed by jealousy and rage, Cain took his brother's life in a fit of violent anger. The first murder in history was committed. And with it came the first consequences of sin, the beginning of a fractured and violent world. God marked Cain with a curse, condemning him to wander the earth as an exile. But Cain, despite his guilt, began to build. He founded a city, naming it after his son, Enoch, and began the first steps toward civilization. The rise of cities, architecture, and the growth of human ingenuity all began here. But these early advancements were tainted by the darkness of sin. Despite this, humanity pushed forward, developing their societies with knowledge, technology, and a growing sense of self. But the world they created was not one of peace and harmony. The growing wickedness of mankind took root, and evil began to spread unchecked. The Bible paints a picture of a society consumed by corruption. Murders were rampant, thefts were common, and moral boundaries were shattered. The human heart became increasingly dark, and sin flourished. People began to indulge in wicked practices, men taking multiple wives, engaging in incestuous relationships, and forsaking the teachings of God. Then came the Nephilim. These mysterious beings were described as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. Who were the sons of God? Some believe they were fallen angels, while others interpret them as the descendants of the righteous line of Seth. the son of Adam. Regardless of their true identity, the Nephilim were said to be giants, powerful beings who towered over mankind, further corrupting the earth. These giants were part of a growing chaos, and the world was on the brink of destruction. However, not all was lost. In the midst of this moral decay, there were a few righteous men who walked with God. One of the most notable was Enoch, a figure who stands apart from the rest. Enoch was a man who, unlike many of his contemporaries, maintained a close relationship with God. He walked with God, a phrase that suggests deep communion and divine favor. Enoch's life was a testimony to the possibility of holiness in a world that was spiraling into chaos. Enoch's story is unique and mysterious. According to the Bible, he did not die as others did. Instead, he was taken by God, for God took him. This extraordinary event suggests that Enoch had found such favor with God that he was spared death and brought directly into the presence of the Creator. Enoch's life serves as a profound reminder of what it means to be in right standing with God in a fallen world. His legacy would live on as a beacon of faith for generations to come. But the most famous figure from the antediluvian world was Noah. Noah was a man of exceptional faith and righteousness in a time when most people had turned their backs on God. When God looked upon the earth, he saw that humanity had become utterly corrupt, and he resolved to wipe out all life with a great flood. But Noah found favor with God, and he was chosen to preserve life. God commanded Noah to build an enormous ark, a vessel that would house Noah, his family, and a pair of every living creature on earth. Despite the scorn and ridicule he received from those around him, Noah obeyed God's command and built the ark. It was an act of obedience and faith unlike any other. For years, Noah worked tirelessly, building the ark as a massive structure that would carry life through the greatest cataclysm the world had ever known. Then, the flood came. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. And the waters covered the earth, rising above the highest mountains. The flood was a divine act of judgment, a response to the wickedness and corruption that had filled the earth. All living creatures were destroyed, except for those aboard the ark. As the floodwaters receded, Noah and his family emerged from the ark, the sole survivors of the deluge. The earth was cleansed, but humanity's story was far from over. God made a covenant with Noah, promising that never again would the earth be destroyed by a flood. As a symbol of this covenant, God placed a rainbow in the sky, a promise that would stand for all time. But what does this story mean for us today? The world before the flood was marked by incredible feats and catastrophic events. It was a time of great sin and great righteousness, of unprecedented technological achievements and profound spiritual insights. It reminds us of the consequences of turning away from God and the importance of living in obedience to His will. The story of Noah and the flood is a story of hope, redemption, and new beginnings. It teaches us that, no matter how dark the world may seem, there is always a way out for those who walk in faith with God. The antediluvian world was a time of extraordinary contrast, a time when divine judgment and mercy coexisted in a way that shaped the course of history. And as we look back at this ancient era, we are reminded of the eternal truth that faith, righteousness, and obedience to God are the keys to survival, even in the most difficult of times. So, if you found this journey into the mysteries of the antediluvian world as fascinating as I have, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's continue to explore the ancient stories that shape our understanding of the past, uncovering lessons of faith, obedience, and the enduring promise of God's covenant. Stay tuned. Stay blessed. And as always, stay with God.